Director Ballantyne.
Here.
Okay, and Director Barney is not. So we've got 4 attending, 1 absent. I have a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes carry. Moving on to item 2, community announcements and public comments for items not on the agenda. So those of you online, if you'd like to speak up about something that's not on our agenda, feel free.
Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Patty Orr, and I'm with Mojave Designated. I hope everybody's doing okay today. I do have a few community announcements for Mojave. The first one is the 2023 Mojave Community Queen are going to be holding a quarter auction fundraiser to support them as well as the 2024 candidates. The tickets are $5 a piece and include 1 paddle. Additional paddles are $1 a piece, and all-in paddles are $10. The event is going to take place on April 7th, beginning at 4 p.m. at the Mojave Elks Lodge on K Street in Mojave. I'm not sure if Kathy Hampson is in the audience, but Plane Crazy Saturday will once again take place at the Mojave Airport Spaceport on April 20th. There will be a presentation with the guest speaker. The presentation begins at 11 a.m. and the Plane Crazy Saturday goes from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The Mojave Community Queens will be holding the annual 2024 Community Queens pageant on April 21st. The time and the place have not been set yet, but I'll get it to you as soon as it becomes available. The Mojave Chamber of Commerce will be holding a community cleanup meeting on April 25th. This meeting is where individuals and groups can come and do their part in their neighborhoods and also learn about community resources. Deborah Krokel will be the guest speaker at the meeting. A CSU California Unmanned Aerial Systems competition will be taking place on June 22nd and June 23rd at the Mojave Air and Spaceport. The event is in partnership with Cal State LA. Registration for the event opened October 2023 and the deadline was March 30th. Design competition submission deadlines are May 3rd. Vendor booth and sponsorship opportunities are also available. For more information on this event, you can contact Mike Thorburn at Aircraft Competition at calstatela.edu. That's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Any other community announcements? Okay. So consent agenda. Staff recommends approval of all items by one motion.
Move to approve the consent agenda items A, B, and C.
Second. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes carry for not. So next is action items. Item A is ABL Space Systems lease amendment for Site 17. And item B is ABL Space Systems Building 21 land lease amendment. Land and lease amendment.
Good afternoon. ABL already has existing leases on Site 17, 15, and Building 21. What they're looking to do with these 2 lease amendments is extend a 2-year extension for the Test Site 17, Test Site 3, and Building 21 and accompanying land. So it aligns with their Test Site 15 expiration date in August of 2027. For Test Site 17 and 3, they already have a 3-year lease with 2 1-year renewal options. And for Building 21, they have a 2-year lease with 1-year renewal options. So we're recommending approval of the First Amendment for both action items A and B to extend those leases.
Okay. Any questions?
No, I read it, and it can sit out to me, so I'll make a motion
Yep.
to approve A and B.
Okay.
A second.
All right, and no other discussion from the board? Okay. And any comments from the audience? Community? Okay, if not, we've had motions, so we'll vote to approve both A and B. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? The ayes carry. So for A and B, both approved. Next one is reports. Item A, Director of Admin.
Good afternoon. These are the financials for the month of February 2024. Bank balance decreased $363,000. Operating revenue, we're at 71%. Operating expenses at 63%. Should be at 67%, so we're still on track with both of them. A little bit above on revenue, a little lower on expenses. Fuel sales, we're at 75,000 gallons. AR, American Verde and Mike Carmack are still just continuing to send small payments. And I'm sorry, American Verde and High Desert Wireless. And Mike Carmack's account at this time is paid in full. So we can remove that information out of closed session. And then Fitness Center, we have 605 members. And in the next meeting or the first meeting in May, we'll bring the engagement letter to get started on the next audit.
Okay. Is there any update on the master plan? Is it something that's
The master plan was not on my,
right, but is that something that's in work? Because it's due, right, coming up?
So we're in
10 year or
discussion
something?
with Need and Hunt on a plan of action for our master plan. That should be brought up at our next board meeting when we have a bit more information.
Okay, thank you.
When do we start working on budget?
we'll have a budget workshop hopefully in May. So staff is,
Next one.
yeah.
Because I know it just comes so
Yeah,
fast.
staff is currently working on everything right now behind the scenes, and then we plan to kind of gather everything and bring it and have a budget workshop in May.
Okay, item B in reports is Director of Facilities.
Good afternoon, directors. Just a few facility initiative updates. The water system improvement on Roper is moving along very well. We're completing phase 1 and phase 2 and commenced phase 3 this morning. The first tie-in from the old system to the new system is scheduled to occur tomorrow. Everything is looking good, and we'll see some rapid movement as they approach Savovich and then up to the termination at the 36 gate. Included in the board packet is a new phasing schedule, or phasing exhibit, excuse me. We did add a 3-day delay to the conclusion of the project from the 16th to the 19th, and that's just due to some unforeseen conditions that we've encountered. There was a 10-inch line that was reported as a 10-inch line. It turned out to be an 8-inch line. It was concrete encased, so that caused a little bit of a delay. There's some unforeseen conditions with the pavement along Roper that we had to deal with, but I think very minor in the grand scheme of things, and it's only delaying us until the 19th. Should not affect long-term any of the tie over at the 36 gate.
Is the blue pipe that runs the majority of that, what diameter is that?
12-inch.
Okay.
So the line that we are replacing is a 10-inch. There was a section that we anticipated 10-inch, but it was actually 8-inch. So it only affects the fittings that tie the 12-inch to the 8-inch.
Gotcha.
But yeah, all of the new lines actually been increased to 12. And that phasing schedule or exhibit has been circulated to all the tenants. Taxiway Alpha rehabilitation. On the 4th, Thursday of this week, we have a field coordination meeting scheduled with Southern California Edison because we do have to cross in close proximity to one of their easements. Then our pre-construction meeting for that project occurs in this room on Thursday, the 18th, a week from this Thursday. And our first mobilization has been written in, scheduled for May 13th, with phase 1 for the directional boring that occurs under the ramp and out on Echo. And that's a 15-day effort. And the contractor is very optimistic. We're all very optimistic that the fixtures will deliver a little bit ahead of schedule. They're in talks with the manufacturer to try to get those so that we don't have to do 2 mobilizations. But in the worst case, that would be the issue. Excuse me. March 15th, we participated in a property auction of 3 tax lien sale properties west of the propulsion, east of the propulsion area. One of those parcels was removed from the auction. The other 2 parcels, there was a 2.6 acre parcel that we bid $5,200, and that winning bid was awarded at $5,300. So the district did not win that parcel. And the other parcel, which was 3 3/4 acres, we had a max bid of $7,500, and the winning bid was $8,300. So we did not win either of the parcels in the auction.
Just missed.
Okay. And finally, the hydraulic modeling. I've been making quite a bit of effort and up progress the last couple of weeks. We're down to the last dozen buildings that we're missing information on. To have a meeting with Raphael from Mead and Hunt tomorrow at 1 o'clock. That we're going to go over the data that we have, figure out what to do with what's remaining, and schedule some field surveys. So we're hoping to have that all wrapped up by the end of our plan is to complete that by the end of June.
Field survey meaning they'll mount some
Some of the information that we're needing is missing from the fire suppression systems. So our hope is that we can, Mead and Hunt can come inspect those systems. They can measure things, compile the data, and they can do the calculations themselves.
Yeah.
So, and with that, that's all I have for this month.
Thanks, thank you. Director of Operations, item C.
So a couple updates from the operations office. Software updates. We've begun our training for Vert Tower users at Mojave. Vert Tower is software brought in to help with aircraft tracking, aircraft counts here. So it automatically tracks how many aircraft come in. Before we were using kind of like when you see at a carnival, the little people clickers. So we had a row of those, or we were relying on operations staff, if they're not on the phone, if they're not responding to calls, to quickly write down, okay, well, Cessna came in. And that was really antiquated and not an effective way to properly track how many movements we have here at Mojave. So Jason organized with Bird Tower to bring in a software to be able to assist with that aircraft tracking, and we can also use it to help with base aircraft. Another software update is Everbridge. Our agreement is at Everbridge for review with an anticipated setup date of May 2nd and a program live date of June 17th to replace the OnSolve mass notification system. So we're hoping to be live. Our agreement with OnSolve ends mid-June, or I believe it was either mid-June or at the end of June. I'd have to double check. And then Everbridge will replace that system so we won't have any lapses in mass notification usage. Some vehicle branding updates. I don't know if you were able to see when you came in, but we are finally updating the branding for the security vehicles, as well as 2 vehicles that did not have the proper logos. We're working with Cray Industries to get those added on there. We're going to give it a month or so trial period to see how the decals hold up, if we're content with the quality of it, especially with the very paint and decal friendly conditions we have here at Mojave. And if we are content with that, then we'll continue to move through the rest of the fleet and update to the new logos and any branding or decals that are on there that may have gotten torn up and are just a bit unsightly. Clean it up. And then I do have one tenant update, and that is Boom Supersonic flew the first flight for the XB-1 aircraft at Mojave on March 22nd. I was very excited to be there, and we are very proud of them to see that aircraft fly.
Great. In future meetings, or maybe once a month or something, can you report on the number of aircraft movements or any other statistics that
Absolutely,
I
yes.
think that's Interesting. Okay, thank you. So item D is Chief Executive Officer.
Still me.
Back to you.
That's me. So the first update we have is more of a request, and that is the inland port update. We've not been having a lot of information come from Pioneer Partners, and this has been a standing item on the CEO report. So we are requesting to remove this as a standing reporting item until we get some more information from them.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Is Dr. Gill on the line?
I thought I saw him earlier.
Me too.
I'm right here. Good afternoon, everybody.
Hi, Dr. Gill.
Hi. Yeah, apologies, my video doesn't want to pop up. Dear members of the board, dear staff, public, thanks for taking the time. Quick update on our progress. We've had a lot of progress since the last time we came in person, and apologies for me not being there in person. I would have loved to be there. I'm actually talking to you from abroad. A lot of the work that we've done over the last couple of months was pricing discussions with multiple of the GCs. Many of them were recommended by your staff and previous developers at Mojave Air and Spaceport. We've had pricing detail from various hangar manufacturers. Some very, very good discussions around layout, what should be included, what is best practice, and what could probably do fairly well in the desert. We've had multiple discussions with ancillary contractors, including geotechnical surveyors and so on and so forth, just to make sure that we sharpen our pencil on the overall cost. And clearly we've had a good amount of market research. We've knocked on the door of all of the adjacent airports. Your board president, Robert, was kind enough to come and visit us as well in Los Angeles. We sat through and I showed him a lot of my details. Robert, thank you for pointing me to some additional comps. We've updated some of those as well as in terms of rent per square foot, what gets charged. Our current design now includes 25 hangars. They're mostly 45 width in 45 feet in width, with one larger one on the southeast corner of the parcel. Most of there are 3 rows of hangars. The very south one, we are intending to include full insulation on all of them. That's the hangars that will be directly adjacent to the property border, and then the rest of them could have insulation if tenants or potential future buyers will want to have them. We're also examining the option of including solar on the roof and trying to make them a little bit more sustainable, to make them a little more attractive, if nothing else. We're finalizing the location of the anchor bolts on those hangars, just to get the final cost on those. And to be fully transparent, we're still struggling with cost. Our overall cost per hangar, as it sits right now, before we make any dollar on this, it's close to $210,000 as an average. Which essentially equates to rent slightly north of $2,000 per month as an average. So we're looking for every and all ways to try to cut costs without cutting down quality. We're very focused on building quality buildings that both the airport and we will be proud of, and will attract the good general aviation tenants into, including owners of aircrafts. But we want to create nice man and women caves that people are happy with, if nothing else. An asset class that we want to replicate in other places at your airport as well. So that's my update today. We're still kind of, I'm going to say, sharpening our pencil. Our intent is to have a package ready for the airport's review within 30 days. The full package, including the forms that are required by the county. And once those are ready, we'd love your feedback and see what else we can do to improve design and reduce costs. That concludes my summary. Happy to take any questions.
Yeah, I have one, Gil. The 25 hangars you're referencing, what are the size of the hangars? Do you have that established?
45 by 26.
Yes, sir.
I didn't hear you.
Yes, sir. So they're mostly 45 feet by 45 feet, with some exception. I have one that is 45 wide, 75 wide, and 45 deep, and then four that are 50 wide and 45 deep. So they're bigger than most of the general aviation hangars that you have right now by a couple of feet. And the way that those hangars will be built is the front doors will be essentially all the way to the corner. A lot of those manufacturers have doors that require 2 or 3 feet on the side. And the company that we're probably going to go with, which the company called Direct-to-Tube, they have doors that go all the way to the corner essentially. So you'll be able to use the entire way. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, very good. Good details.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gill.
Absolutely.
And the last thing for me, some of the recent submissions that we've made to the FAA, our airport capital improvement plan. This is the list of, I guess that best way to describe it is our wish list. The projects that we want to do that we would likely need assistance from the FAA for. Those are usually submitted to our airport, or not usually, those are submitted to our airport district office. Some of the projects that we had put on there was updating our airport layout plan, which is in process right now with Mead and Hunt, including some of those additions to the airport layout plan include the addition of the hydrogen fueling locations, the test site areas, which has become an interesting topic, wanting to add in all of our testing locations here at the airport, and then the removal of the hangars along Taxiway Charlie. Some of the other items that we put on there is the rehabilitation of Taxiway Alpha, especially and including the intersection at Taxiway Foxtrot where the pavement has failed. And then the removal and relocation of Taxiway Delta. The ADO had requested that be earlier in the list. We have sent it back and put it down a couple more years, as we do have other projects that take priority, and that would be a very expensive project to relocate a taxiway. So we're still immersed with that to try to push that down a bit further, a couple years out. Oh, do you have any questions on the ASIP?
Yeah, sorry, I don't know what Delta is.
So Taxiway Delta is right there.
Little,
Oh,
that
that,
little-
oh, okay.
little diagonal.
Yeah.
That little diagonal.
I used to land on that.
Yeah, so if there's $3 million, you can land out somewhere else. So we are continuing to speak with the FAA to work with that intersection. It is a hot spot. We have noticed a lot more focus on mitigating hot spots at airports. But we do feel that there are more cost-effective measures to mitigate those hotspot concerns without a full relocation project at this time. So Blade and I are still working with the ADO and Mead and Hunt as well, to get more focus on the failure at Taxiway Foxtrot. And then the
Point out on the map as well.
Foxtrot?
Yeah. Leave it.
Throwing things on my room. Right here.
That and Alpha.
Yes.
Okay.
Which the FAA, in the FAA's word, has substantially impressively failed, which I think is my favorite sentence I've ever heard the FAA say about my airfield.
So the failure is when you're crossing Foxtrot on Alpha, there's broken pavement.
So the pavement is old. What I gather, and Floyd can correct me if I'm wrong, is as we've done projects around Alpha, the intersection at Foxtrot and Alpha had been skipped. So that pavement is already quite old. And then with all of the movement from the Boneyard aircraft, adding additional weight, those are obviously very heavy aircraft, has caused the pavement to fail. Most significant damage was fortunately off the movement area on the south side of Foxtrot towards where those 777s are parked. But we are still concerned about that intersection at Alpha at Foxtrot, especially since it feeds into our largest runway.
Right.
Okay. And then the last update I had for FAA submissions was our Spaceport license application was submitted on March 18th, which is 90 days prior to the expiration date. That is the date that Kimley Horn had recommended. We do have a couple items that we're still working on, but none of which would affect our Spaceport license. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Okay, we have one board committee.
I think we pretty much reported, and that was a recommendation to the board, but he had asked us to add whether, Andy Swanson was interested in running as a potential CEO replacement, and the answer was yes, and
So we
Yeah, I'm sorry, but this is part of a closed session discussion. I don't think that we need to report on this in open session.
okay.
okay.
Let me ask you this, do you want to dissolve the committee?
No, I think we may still need to be looking. It's not clear where we're at.
Okay.
Yeah, let's continue this discussion in closed session.
Okay. So next item is director comments on items not on the agenda. Okay, I'd like to say thank you to Ariel for stepping up as interim CEO.
Second.
Really appreciate that.
Mhm.
I think you'll do great. While we pursue our
One under your
replacement.
belt.
I know,
Yeah.
it's a good check mark.
So if the community is, if everyone's wondering why Ariel is both operations and reporting on CEO, that's why she's temporarily holding that position till it's filled. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Any other director comments?
I got one for Floyd. When's Bellshot close? Potentially this. You don't have to get it, Floyd. I'm just curious for myself.
To be honest with you, I don't remember the exact date. It's in the attachment, but it's on.
The third,
day.
3rd to 11th. Well, no, that's today. That's
But
tomorrow.
they're just gonna close one lane of it, right?
Oh,
At any given time. Like right now, they're between Inyo and Belshaw,
Yeah.
and it's only one side of the road.
Okay.
So it says road closed, but I drove on the wrong
Right,
side
when they
of the
do
road
get
that
to the
one.
intersection of where Belshaw and Roper intersect, Belshaw will have to be closed to through traffic. To be able to get to the test site area and the hall ambulance will be able to
Will
get
there
in
be
and
a
out.
sign further
Yes.
out?
We will change the sign at the entrance on Belshaw
Okay.
to reflect that, and then there'll be
Okay.
signs across Belshaw. And I believe it's a short duration and it's,
Yeah, I thought you might get some.
Not-
So what's
come in and
what's
not be able to-
the recommended detour then? Like if you wanted to get to the admin building or,
you would have to go around to Inyo and then back to Salovich.
gotcha, okay,
It will only be closed to close that intersection when we cross over to the 36 gate.
right. So you go around the graveyard onto Inyo and,
Yeah, unfortunately, yes, you'd have to go
Okay.
around and then down to Inyo and back to Salovich.
right. Okay, thanks. All right, so item 6 is complete. We're now gonna move into closed session. For those of you in attendance, you're welcome to stay in the waiting room and we'll give you a summary when we return. If not,
Recording stopped.
Just a reminder, we do have an open session action item after closed session. So when closed session is done, we will come back into open session. If the board is ready, we will take action on the item 9C, the Paxton Boneyard lease, and then we will adjourn. Just so everyone in the waiting room is clear.
we want to double check with all of our tech issues. Do we want to double check that everybody is pushed to the waiting room before we start the session? We're completely locked out of it.
I will check there.
I think it's because Jason's doing it from his desk, right?
I think the moment is what,
Now,
Recording in progress.
You may have to go over them 2 or 3 times. First time it knocks them down and strips them.
no, it's a little bigger.
Oh, so.
I don't think there's any docs here. Oh, yeah, there is now.
Is that it for? Oh. There we go.
we're good, right? Okay. Welcome back, everyone. Mr. Nave, if you would give the closed session report.
Yes, in closed session, council updated the board on the status of the Welton versus Mass existing litigation and updated the board on the status of the Grote and Carmack potential litigation items. No action was taken on any of those. The board was updated on the status of the real property negotiations involving Mr. Major. No action was taken. Council updated the board on the status of negotiations with Paxton for their lease amendment. And then the board discussed the appointment of a CEO. No other items were discussed and no action was taken. And that was it for closed session.
Okay. So now item 9 is the last action item. It's Paxton lease.
So at the last meeting, you gave direction to council to negotiate a lease amendment. We have discussed the terms that I went over with Paxton, and you have been updated on those terms. And so we're going into open session because I believe that we are ready to take action on this. And the lease amendment has been presented to the board. And so unless there are any questions, I'll turn it over to you guys.
Okay. Any discussion? Any comments?
I'll make a motion to approve the Paxton Boneyard lease with Mass.
And I'll second it. So anything from the community? Comments? Okay, so we'll take a roll call vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? So it's passed unanimously for those present. And all we have left is adjournment.
I move
Thank you
to
for
adjourn.
attending.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Yes.